This is Mr. Eugene, and today we're addressing the single most destructive pattern in modern relationships. Not infidelity, not financial problems, not even incompatibility. The pattern destroying more families than anything else is women's systematic inability to accept accountability for their role in relationship dysfunction. Before anyone floods the comments with accusations, let me be clear about what this is and what it isn't. This is not woman hating. This is not claiming women are inferior. This is not saying men are perfect or blameless. This is identifying a specific behavioral pattern that makes healthy relationships impossible. A pattern so deeply programmed into female psychology through cultural conditioning that most women cannot even see it operating in themselves. When one person in a relationship has complete immunity from accountability, that relationship cannot function, cannot thrive, cannot survive long term. And right now, in millions of marriages, women operate with exactly this immunity while families collapse around them. Today, I'm breaking down the exact tactics women use to avoid accountability, the psychological programming that enables this avoidance, the catastrophic impact on families, and why pointing this out is not hatred, it's advocacy for the families being destroyed by this pattern. This will make people angry. Good. Anger doesn't make truth less true, and families are dying because nobody will say this clearly. Let me start by showing you exactly what female accountability avoidance looks like in practice. You address a problem with her behavior, something specific, something that's affecting the relationship negatively. Her immediate response is, "What about you? What about the things you do wrong? Why are you only focusing on me? Men do bad things too. Why don't you talk about what men contribute to relationship problems? Notice what just happened." She deflected from her specific behavior to vague accusations about your behavior or men generally. The specific issue you raised never gets addressed, never gets acknowledged, never gets resolved. This is the first line of defense against accountability. Immediate deflection to someone else's behavior. When deflection doesn't work, she escalates to victimhood. You persist in addressing the actual issue. You don't let the deflection derail the conversation. She responds with, "Why are you attacking me? You're being so mean right now. I can't believe you're doing this to me. You're making me feel terrible. I'm the victim here." Notice the flip. You brought up her problematic behavior. Now somehow you're attacking her. You're the aggressor. She's the victim. The person whose behavior created the problem is now the wounded party. This is the second line of defense. Transform yourself from the problem into the victim. When victimhood doesn't shut you down, she deploys emotion, tears, anger, dramatic reactions designed to make you stop pursuing accountability. She starts crying, or she gets furious, or she has a breakdown. The emotional intensity makes it impossible to continue the conversation rationally. Now you're comforting her, or defending yourself against her anger, or dealing with her emotional chaos. The original issue has completely disappeared under the avalanche of emotion. This is the third line of defense. Emotional overwhelm that makes rational discussion impossible. If you somehow navigate through deflection, victimhood, and emotion, she has one more weapon: complete blame reversal. This is actually your fault. If you hadn't done something weeks or months ago, I wouldn't have done this. You made me behave this way. My behavior is actually a response to your behavior. So really, you're the one who needs to apologize. She's taking her behavior and making it your responsibility. You caused it. You created it. You're accountable for her choices. She bears zero responsibility. This is the fourth line of defense. Complete transfer of accountability to you. And if all else fails, there's always the tone police. You've been patient. You've addressed the issue multiple times. You're frustrated now. Your tone shows that frustration. I can't even listen to you when you're talking to me like this. It's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. Your tone is unacceptable. I won't engage when you're being this way. Now the issue isn't her behavior, it's your tone. Your frustration at being repeatedly dismissed and deflected becomes the problem. You end up apologizing for being upset about legitimate issues. This is the final line of defense. Make the conversation style the issue, never the actual behavior. Let me explain where this accountability avoidance comes from. It's not natural, it's programmed, systematically from childhood through adulthood. There's documented psychological research on this. It's called the women are wonderful effect. Both men and women automatically assume women are better, more moral, more trustworthy than men. This creates a framework where women's intentions are assumed to be good, women's behaviors are given maximum charitable interpretation, women's feelings are treated as automatically valid, Women's perspectives are assumed to be correct. This bias means women grow up rarely being held accountable the way men are. Their behavior is excused. Their intentions are assumed pure. Their feelings trump facts. By adulthood, they've internalized, I'm fundamentally good. If there's a problem, it's not me. It's something external to me. From earliest childhood, girls are taught differently than boys regarding accountability. Girls are sugar and spice and everything nice. Boys are snips and snails and puppy dog tails. The messaging is clear. Girls are inherently better. When boys and girls misbehave identically, boys are punished more harshly. Girls receive more lenient treatment. The lesson is girls' bad behavior is more understandable, more forgivable. Male energy and behavior is pathologized in schools. Boys are medicated for being boys. Girls' behavior is accommodated and celebrated. The lesson is male nature is problematic, female nature is perfect, as is. By the time girls reach adulthood, they've been taught for 18 years. You're wonderful. You're victims of male behavior. If something's wrong, look at what the man is doing. Never examine yourself critically. Adult culture reinforces this constantly. Media portrays women as competent and men as bumbling idiots. Women are shown solving problems men create. The message is, women fix things, men break things. Relationship advice is always about what he needs to change. How to train your husband. How to get him to listen. How to make him more romantic. Never how to be a better wife. How to support your husband. How to take accountability. Therapy culture validates women's feelings automatically. Your feelings are valid becomes your feelings are truth becomes if you feel wronged, you were wronged. Feelings trump reality. The result is women reach marriage having been systematically taught they are rarely, if ever, the problem. They're victims. They're wonderful. They're the fixers, not the broken. This programming makes accountability nearly impossible. Let me show you exactly how this plays out. She overspent $1,800 beyond budget on clothes and decorations. He discovers this reviewing the credit card statement. He addresses it calmly. Hey, the credit card is $1,800 over budget. What happened? She responds, it's fine, I needed those things. He tries again. It's not fine. We agreed on a budget. This affects our savings. She says, why are you trying to control my spending? I work too, he persists. This isn't about control. This is about you breaking our agreed budget by $1,800. She deflects with, why are you always on my case about money? His frustration shows after the fourth attempt. Because you keep overspending. We've had this conversation 5 times. Nothing changes, she strikes. Don't you dare yell at me. I will not be spoken to like that. Your tone is abusive. Next 3 days, silent treatment. She tells her sister he screamed at her over money, withholds sex, makes him apologize. Result is he apologizes for raising his voice. The $1,800 overspending never gets addressed. She does it again the next month. The pattern continues because accountability was successfully avoided. When one person cannot accept accountability, problems cannot be solved. Problem solving requires acknowledging the problem exists, identifying who's contributing to it, taking ownership of your contribution, changing behavior to resolve it. Women's accountability avoidance prevents step 2 and 3. She won't acknowledge her contribution, won't take ownership, therefore cannot change behavior. The same problems recur month after month, year after year, destroying the relationship incrementally because the source refuses to acknowledge she is the source. After years of raising issues only to be deflected, victimized, emotionally overwhelmed, blamed, and tone policed, men stop trying. They learn the devastating lesson. My wife cannot be held accountable for anything. Addressing her behavior is punished, not resolved. My role is absorbing her dysfunction, not partnering with her. So they stop raising issues, stop expecting partnership, stop believing change is possible. They become the withdrawn, emotionally unavailable, checked-out husbands their wives complain about. And their wives have no idea they created this because accepting that would require the accountability they've spent years avoiding. Men don't process resentment the way women do. Women express it constantly through words and emotion. Men suppress it, internalize it, let it accumulate silently. Years of accountability avoidance create massive resentment in men. Resentment at double standards. She demands accountability from him but gives none. Resentment at being blamed for her behavior. Resentment at emotional manipulation. Resentment at being made the villain for having legitimate concerns. This resentment doesn't disappear. It compounds silently until one day the man is completely done, not because of one incident, because of 10,000 avoided accountabilities accumulated over decades. By the time she sees his resentment, it's too late. The marriage is already dead. He's just going through motions. Children observe everything. They're learning relationship dynamics from watching their parents, what they observe. When mom avoids accountability is women don't have to take responsibility for their actions. Men are always at fault when there's conflict. Emotions can be weaponized to avoid consequences. Deflection and blame shifting are acceptable tactics. Victimhood is a strategy for avoiding accountability. Boys learn women will blame you for everything. Marriage means being responsible for both people's behavior. Your needs don't matter. Girls learn avoid accountability at all costs. Deflect. Play victim, weaponize emotion, never examine your own behavior critically. Both lessons destroy their future relationships before they even begin. A family cannot function healthily when one person operates with complete immunity from accountability. Functional families require all members taking ownership of their contributions to problems, honest communication about issues, willingness to change problematic behavior, mutual accountability, and respect. When mom refuses accountability, none of this is possible. She models dysfunction for children. She prevents honest communication. She makes partnership impossible. She creates home environment of walking on eggshells. The family becomes oriented around managing mom's emotions and avoiding triggering her defensive reactions. This is dysfunctional family system that damages everyone in it. Let me address what this is and what it isn't. Hatred would be all women are terrible. Women are inferior. Women should be controlled. What I'm actually saying is these specific behaviors that many women engage in destroy families. We need to address these behaviors to save families. That's not hatred, that's pattern recognition, that's advocacy. There's massive difference between criticizing women as a group and criticizing specific toxic behaviors some women engage in. Men have their issues. Men can be lazy, conflict avoidant, porn addicted, emotionally unavailable, financially irresponsible. Those are real problems that real men struggle with. But here's the critical difference. Most male problems dramatically improve when the wife is reasonable, supportive, and sexually available. A man with peaceful home, respectful wife, and consistent intimacy doesn't create problems. He solves them. He builds. He leads. He protects. But subject a man to constant criticism, sexual rejection, and a wife who refuses accountability, that man becomes a shell. So until women address their contribution to dysfunction, focusing on men's issues is just deflection, which is exactly the accountability avoidance I'm describing. Families cannot function when one person has immunity from accountability. That's not opinion. That's organizational reality. Every functional system requires accountability from all participants. Businesses fail when leaders avoid accountability. Sports teams fail when players avoid accountability. Governments fail when officials avoid accountability. Families fail when members avoid accountability. Pointing out that women's accountability avoidance destroys families is pro-family advocacy. I'm trying to save families by identifying the pattern killing them. That's not hatred. That's love for the families being destroyed. Women need to develop capacity for honest self-examination. To ask, what am I contributing to this problem? How is my behavior affecting my marriage? What do I need to change? This requires suspending the automatic defensive response, resisting the urge to deflect to male behavior, being willing to feel uncomfortable while examining your own conduct, taking ownership of your contribution without excuse. This is difficult. It requires fighting against years of programming, but it's essential. Marriages cannot heal when one person refuses self-examination. Women need to recognize and stop the 5 tactics. No more what about men deflection. No more victimhood transformation. No more emotional overwhelm to avoid discussion. No more blame reversal. No more tone policing. When your husband raises a legitimate concern, address the content. Don't deploy defensive tactics to avoid accountability. Women need to understand your feelings are not truth. Your feelings are information about your internal state, not facts about reality. If you feel attacked, that doesn't mean you were attacked. If you feel disrespected, that doesn't mean you were disrespected. Your feelings need to be examined, not automatically accepted as accurate descriptions of reality. This is critical for accountability because accountability requires acknowledging objective behavior, not just validating subjective feelings. Society needs to stop automatically assuming women are victims and men are perpetrators. Stop teaching girls they're wonderful and boys are problematic. Stop giving women lenient treatment for bad behavior. Stop validating all female feelings as automatically accurate. Start requiring accountability equally. Start examining female behavior as critically as male behavior. Start protecting families instead of protecting women's egos. Men need to stop tolerating accountability avoidance. When she deflects, call it out. You're deflecting. Address the actual issue. When she plays victim, refuse it. I'm not attacking you. I'm addressing your behavior. When she emotionally overwhelms, pause. We'll continue this when you're calm, but we will continue it. When she blame shifts, reject it. My behavior doesn't excuse yours. Take ownership. When she tone polices, push through. My tone is frustrated because you've avoided this issue 3 times. Address the content. Stop accepting immunity. Require accountability. Be willing to enforce consequences if she refuses. Women's systematic inability to accept accountability is destroying families. Not slowly, not occasionally. Systematically, predictably, across millions of marriages. This happens through 5 tactics. Deflection, victimhood transformation, emotional overwhelm, blame reversal, tone policing. These tactics are programmed through childhood messaging that girls are wonderful, cultural bias assuming women are victims, adult reinforcement that feelings equal truth, social protection of women from consequences. The result is catastrophic. Problems never get solved. Men stop trying and become withdrawn. Resentment builds silently for years. Children learn broken relationship patterns. Families become dysfunctional systems. Pointing this out is not hatred. It's pattern recognition. It's pro-family advocacy. It's trying to save families by identifying what's killing them. Families cannot function when one person operates with immunity from accountability. That's not opinion. That's reality. Women need to face the mirror, stop the deflection tactics, accept that feelings aren't facts, take ownership of their contribution to problems. Men need to stop accepting immunity, require accountability, enforce consequences. Culture needs to stop protecting women from accountability and start protecting families. Until this changes, families will continue collapsing, marriages will continue failing. Good men will continue being destroyed by pattern nobody will acknowledge. I'm acknowledging it clearly and directly because families are worth saving. And saving them requires truth, not comfortable lies. Drop a comment. Men, do you recognize these accountability avoidance tactics? Women, can you honestly examine your own behavior? Subscribe for the family-saving truth nobody else will say clearly.